Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. CUFI has an iron, unmovable policy at their conferences. They always keep the worst to the last. So here I am. I need to start with an apology, ladies and gentlemen, being not very far from Washington, D.C. My regiment in the British Army, in the War of 1812, we burnt down the White House. I wasn't actually there myself, but our action was both necessary and proportionate because you guys had done some pretty severe damage to our capital in Canada. I want to first of all acknowledge and pay tribute to Pastor Hagee. And of course the entire Hagee clan, which have done so much good not only for Israel and for the Jewish people, but also for the United States of America. And I'd like to congratulate all of you, and I'd like to congratulate everyone involved in organizing and running this phenomenal conference. It's been fantastic. I'd also like to pay tribute to Dr. Bob Shillman, sitting here in the front. Bob Shillman is a tremendous supporter of CUFI. He's also one of the bravest, most aggressive, and most unwavering supporters of Israel. I want to also acknowledge the presence here of the high school and university students. It's extremely important that you're here. You're the future. You're the future leaders. You're the future activists. You're the future voters. And you're the future fighters. It's really important. Sorry, you're too old, ma'am. I'd also like to pay tribute to all of you. It's so important that you're here. The most used phrase in the Bible is "be not afraid." And your presence here shows that you're not afraid. Your membership of CUFI, your activism shows that you're not afraid to stand up for Israel in this world where there is so much anti-Israel sentiment and so much Jew hate. And it's not just not being afraid, it's being active, it's being prepared to stand up, it's being prepared to speak out. And ladies and gentlemen, you will be as familiar as I am. I'm a mere Catholic, so maybe you're more familiar than I am with the reaction of the prophet Isaiah in the Old Testament when God asked, "Who shall we send?" And Isaiah stood up immediately and said, "Here I am, send me. Hineni." And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a sentiment I think you all have. And I think you share with me probably that standing up for Israel, supporting Israel, is not just a burden. It's not a burden, it's an honor. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd also like to pay tribute to the incredible fighters of the Israel Defense Force. This man sums up the fighting spirit of the IDF. I met him in a hospital in Tel Aviv. He'd been shot 3 times in Gaza, and all he wanted to do was get back to Gaza to rejoin his comrades. His mother and father were with us when I spoke to him. They didn't have quite the same enthusiasm. We've heard a lot about the Iran war that's recently finished. A tremendous operation, unparalleled in the history of warfare. I wasn't in Iran. Well, I can't admit to being in Iran. I was in Israel for the duration of the war, and I've never seen such resilience and such fighting spirit among ordinary Israelis as during that time when they were spending day and night in bomb shelters with Iranian ballistic missiles pouring in. But now that war is over, the spotlight again is on Gaza. The Gaza war's been going on throughout the duration of the war in Iran, war with Iran, unremittingly. The IDF have been fighting day and night there. I was in Gaza about 4 days ago, and I visited a Gaza Humanitarian Foundation aid distribution site inside Gaza. And the reaction, the world reaction to the GHF, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, is a microcosm of the world's reaction to the war in Gaza. I'll explain what I mean. I'm going to focus a bit on this. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is a joint project by Israel and the United States of America to get aid to the Palestinian people, to the civilians, without it falling into the hands of Hamas. Because most of the aid that's gone into Gaza until now has gone direct to Hamas. It's been seized by Hamas, it's been used by Hamas, it's been sold by Hamas to people who can't afford to buy it, to raise funds for Hamas, and to control the population. And the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation was set up explicitly to prevent that happening while getting aid to the people in Gaza. It's a tremendous project. It's potentially a turning point in the war. I visited 2 of those sites in the last week. These are some of the pictures that I saw. I didn't see the pictures, I saw the reality. I was taking these pictures. I'm a pretty lousy photographer, but there you go. These people were so grateful. I spoke to many of them. I was right next to them. Spoke to many of them. Some of them spoke English. I used an interpreter for others. What were they saying? I love America. Wow. That's what these people were saying. I love America. I love you, Trump. I love you, Donald. Because, of course, they recognize these aid sites are courtesy of the United States of America, mainly. The other things they were saying were, I hate Hamas. Kill Hamas. And most of them told me, most of the ones I spoke to told me all they want is to get out of Gaza as soon as possible. There's no future in Gaza. What's been the world reaction to these aid sites? They've distributed 50 million meals in the last month into Gaza. They're delivering 2 million meals every single day, direct to the people that need it. They're so grateful. The world thinks otherwise. The United Nations thinks otherwise. Because these aid sites, they're not under control of the United Nations. They breach their rules, their procedures, and therefore they must be condemned. The 2 main enemies of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation are the United Nations and Hamas. Let that sink in. The 2 main enemies of Israel delivering food into Gaza are the United Nations and Hamas. They're doing everything they can to stop it. Hamas by attacking the civilians that are going to get aid and threatening them, and the United Nations by doing their best to undermine the GHF and prevent other countries than the United States from supporting it. This is the same reaction as was seen internationally to President Trump's plan to voluntarily evacuate the people from Gaza. This was an incredible, it was a paradigm shift. It was the first time in history that anything has been demanded of the Palestinians. It's always for Israel to give the concessions. This was a game changer. And it was resisted, of course, because of that. It was resisted. President Macron, for example, in a place called France, they're our natural enemies, by the way. Apologies to any French people here. President Macron said it was impractical. It's impractical to move the people out. It's ethnic cleansing. You can't do it. When Russia invaded Ukraine, 2 million Ukrainians left and went to Poland. Something like 6 million Ukrainians went to other countries. It's not impractical. It worked there. It could work in Gaza, where the population is allegedly 2 million as well. But it doesn't suit the global agenda. It's ethnic cleansing. Ladies and gentlemen, I've never known any military conflict anywhere in the world, nor have I read about it, where the population in danger have not moved to a neighboring country where they can be safe. Why not Gaza? What are these people still doing there? Why are they still in danger? Because where's Egypt? Why hasn't Egypt opened its borders? There's a genocide in Gaza. There's illegal murder in Gaza, mass killings by the IDF in Gaza. So why are the borders not opened up? Egypt and every other country in the world has an obligation under the Genocide Convention to relieve genocide when it occurs. But they haven't done so. Which countries have put pressure on Egypt to open its borders? None. None that I know of. They obviously, these people screaming genocide, which is an obscenity to talk about Israel being involved in genocide, they obviously don't believe their own words. Otherwise, they would do everything they could to get the people out of Gaza. It's an open prison. It's a concentration camp. But we must make sure the inmates stay there. It's insanity, ladies and gentlemen. But in the late 1940s, 800,000 Jews were expelled from Arab countries in the region. Where was the outrage? 5,000 Jews were uprooted from Gaza in 2005. Those people who are demanding an unrealistic two-state solution want 500,000 Jews taken out of the Judea and Samaria against their wishes. 500,000. But, ladies and gentlemen, these are okay. This is okay because they're Jews. It's not okay to uproot Arabs from Gaza despite the fact they want to get out of Gaza. It's a looking-glass world. Why is this? 2 words: human shields. The international community, just as much as Hamas, are using the Gazan people as human shields to prevent Israel winning this war. That's exactly what they're trying to do. It's shameful, it's disgraceful, it's despicable. This is the struggle of our lifetime, the war in Gaza. It's a very tough war. When you go on to Capitol Hill, I think the most important message that you can send to the people that you speak to is do not prevent Israel from winning this war. Israel is on the verge of destroying Hamas, yet there is talk everywhere, including here in the United States, including in your government, of imposing a ceasefire on Israel in Gaza, which will become permanent before Israel defeats Hamas. They're trying to get Israel to seize defeat from the jaws of victory. Please give that message, and I believe you could make an impact on this. The decisions are being taken. Prime Minister Netanyahu arrives here in a few days' time. The decisions are being taken in the next week. Please impress upon the people that you see on the Hill that the Hamas Nazis must be crushed. I want to leave you with one final thought. Israel will emerge from this conflict stronger than it went in. Israel now recognizes who its friends and enemies are and has made itself more resilient, more self-sufficient, less dependent on other people's support from outside the country. Generations of Israelis, old and young, have fought in Gaza and on the 7 other battlefronts, made huge sacrifices. The people at home have supported them. History shows us that this kind of sacrifice, this kind of experience, strengthens a country and unifies a country. The Jewish diaspora around the world has not been as strong in many cases, not in every case, in many cases as they needed to be in sticking up for Israel. It's so important, and I hope this war has strengthened that support among the diaspora. And I think that's another major plus point for Israel coming out. And finally, the Abraham Accords are going to be extended. Saudi Arabia is going to join. Despite what they might say in the media, they are going to join. Israel's position in the Middle East and in the world is going to be strengthened even more great than it was before. Israel will emerge stronger, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is with the firm support of CUFI, who I know will continue to stand with Israel as they strengthen further. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.